Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm very excited about today's conversation for many reasons. As you might be aware, this week is Earth Week, and here at Intermountain Healthcare, we're celebrating by focusing on gratitude for our Earth and the critical role in our health and survival, falling in love with its natural beauty and identifying ways to take action in living and operating in more sustainable ways. And in one way in particular that we can live and operate sustainably is to be mindful of our electricity use. Today's conversation will focus on just that, electricity use and sustainability. In particular, we want to discuss electrical demands in our community, both in business and home settings, and how our electrical use can directly impact our health. We're also going to provide some guidance on convenient steps you can take to lower your electricity use at your home, lowering your bills and your environmental impact. Today, we're joined by Michael Lang, a regional business manager with Rocky Mountain Power. Michael, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
And we're also joined by Glenn Garrick, Intermountain Healthcare's Director of Sustainability. Glenn, thanks for coming as well.
Great. Thank you for the invite and organizing this.
Yes. Glenn, let's start with you. I'd love to broadly outline the place of electrical production and consumption in sustainability. How does electricity actually impact our world?
Electricity actually ensures we have a comfortable and productive life. It actually ensures a lot of our sustainability work projects actually happen. So electricity, energy really is a good thing. And there's nothing wrong with it in itself. The challenge when it comes to environmental sustainability is how it's generated or how it's sourced. That's where there could be a potential negative impact on the environment.
And Michael, I see that Rocky Mountain Power serves customers in Utah, Idaho, and Wyoming. How does Rocky Mountain Power produce electricity, and where does it produce this electricity as well?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. If you don't mind, I'll share some information that everybody would be able to have access to. And this is on our website. There's two different websites that I'll be referencing during today. And the first one is our Pacific Corp website. So Pacific Corp is the parent company of Rocky Mountain Power. And all of our generation resources are kind of tied together. And actually, they're tied even beyond that, beyond Rocky Mountain Power or Pacific Power and Pacific Corp to a Western electrical grid. And, there's no way to limit where electrons flow once they're connected to the same grid. But as far as our generation resources within the company, if you go to the Pacific Corp website and then you click on energy, which is the webpage that we're looking at right now, you'll see that there are generation resources that are wind and solar. There's hydro facilities. There's what we call thermal facilities, and that includes coal, geothermal, and natural gas generation plants. And then, of course, we also have demand side management, which I'll talk about a little bit further down the road. But these resources are located all throughout the Intermountain West. So in Wyoming, actually even Montana, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, and Idaho and Utah. And as far as the service territory of Rocky Mountain Power, which is Utah, Idaho, and Wyoming, we do have production facilities of each one of these types in those three states as well. And if you want additional information about where those resources are located, you can just click on either this link here for wind and solar, for example, and it will show you exactly where those facilities are. And you can click on them and you can get additional information where the solar or where the wind plants are that are currently powering our customers and the usage that we utilize within these three states.
And Michael, what portion of Rocky Mountain Power is produced for households, and what percentage of that is made for businesses, organizations, and non-household electricity consumers?
That's another very good question. Currently, within Rocky Mountain Power, so just those three states, 25% of the usage is for residential use. 29% is for commercial utilization. 43% currently goes for industrial purposes. 3% is for irrigation. And then there's a very small, less than 1% that's for street lights and lighting just for public uses.
So it sounds like there's a lot of potential opportunities for both businesses and households to examine their electricity use. Glenn, why should healthcare organizations actually care about this? And does electricity have a direct tie to our healthy communities?
Uh, in short, yes, it does have an impact. Anyone who's been in one of our sites, be it a hospital or clinic or a lab, if you've been in the emergency room, if you've been in an operating room, if you had an MRI, or you simply visited a clinic, anyone would recognize very quickly that electricity energy has a very positive impact on our community health. It really enables us to provide the highest level of services. With that said, and kind of going back to the previous statement I made, it can also have an unintended consequence. The burning of fossil fuels is a pollutant, unfortunately. We work with 10 different utility companies, Rocky Mountain being one of them. And when you really look for utility partners like Rocky Mountain that are really striving to provide the cleanest energy possible. With this said, I do want to give a shout out to our Clean Air website. Intermountain has taken some resources and really dedicated the construction of a good website that provides resources and provides information on clean air. So go to Google, Google Intermountain Healthcare Clean Air. It's probably going to be the first link or the second link, or certainly on the first page there. Go there and really look up a lot of information and resources on clean air.
On that website, I have that up for you. So the website specifically for everyone is intermountainhealthcare.com/clean air. So like Glenn mentioned, it's a great resource to look to in order to find out specifically what Intermountain is doing. So Glenn, having these ties with electricity definitely ties back to sustainability and to our community health. And this is presenting a really strong case for the value in being intentional about finding ways to both reduce electrical use and to shift our electrical production where possible to renewable means. Michael mentioned that a percentage of electricity demands are tied to non-household customers, including healthcare organizations such as us. What steps is Intermountain making to actually reduce our electricity use? And what are some of the major steps we're taking to use electricity more efficiently in the future?
Fun fact, Amanda, a hospital uses 3 times as much energy for equivalent sized office building. When it comes to energy consumption, healthcare facilities, Intermountain is a provider here and experiences the same thing, is a major consumer of energy and electricity. And we take on the burden of the cost associated with that. So what is Intermountain doing? It's really, you can look at it as a twofold strategy. First is around mechanical upgrades. We actually have a team of individuals that are focused on looking at every mechanical element within our facilities that we can upgrade, improve, and to make it more energy efficient. Every dollar we can save on energy goes to patient care. The second element is around culture or behavior. And now this is an area that we hope to even foster more going forward. But over the years, we've really encouraged staff to really engage on looking at their workspace and trying to determine where we can actually save energy. What can we improve? What lights can we turn off? What areas can, what mechanical elements aren't working right that I can tell the energy team that they can come in here and fix it. So this is around establishing a culture at Intermountain Healthcare that's really concerned and proactive about saving energy.
That's really great to hear that we're actually making these strides to reduce our electricity use. Let's transition to personal electric use. Michael, you mentioned that a percentage of electricity Rocky Mountain Power produces powers households specifically. If we were to break down that electrical use in homes by category, what are these categories and what percentage of the total household electrical bill is typically tied to each category?
That's another really good question. It's a little bit different depending on the type of use and the type of customer and where you live. If you live in a multifamily development, for example, the usage is quite a bit different than it is in a single family home. And of course, then again, the age and size of the home, when it was built, the type of materials that were used in the build, and then the type of appliances and other daily usage that we all experience. Weather plays a big part in there as well. Depending on the time of year, you might see a very significant portion of a given customer's residential usage be dedicated to air conditioning, for example, which is the peak driver when it comes to residential usage during summer months. So from May until October here in these 3 states, this kind of geographic area, air conditioning is a major driver of residential use. So it's impossible to say exactly or even approximate for a given residence, because it really depends on the type of residence that a person has and where they live and how they utilize their energy. But a large amount of that is always going to be based on when you're there in the home and what appliances you have running, including your heating and or air conditioning, depend on the type of heating you may have. Some people have natural gas, other people have electricity.
So it sounds like there's potentially ways to cut back your bill in these
Absolutely.
areas, especially with the air conditioning or even maybe drying your clothes. I know that sometimes that could take a lot of electricity. What steps do you recommend for someone to take to maybe lower May's electricity bill coming up and make our homes a little bit more sustainable?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll share one more screen with you for a website that is dedicated to this purpose because it has such a big impact. If you can see this now, where it's saving and energy choices. So this is on the Rocky Mountain Power website, and everyone who's watching this from the Rocky Mountain Power Service Territory can come here just by going to our main website and click on the top link that says Savings and Energy Choices. When you come here, this website is designed specifically to help people find ways to save and to cut their energy usage. So if you click on residential customers or business customers, if you're a business, either of Intermountain Healthcare watching this, or of course the facility itself, or if you're a business owner, and then you can see very specific things that you can do as a residential customer. For example, what are solutions in my home that I could do? We offer incentives and rebates for both multifamily and single family residents through our WattSmart program. There's also ways that you can modify the type of energy that you utilize on your individual account. You can choose to have that come from renewable resources or through our standard generation portfolio. There's several different options there. There's ways that you can get additional energy information through our reports platform to determine, are you using more energy than your neighbors? And if so, what times, what ways might you modify that usage? And then we've got other programs like our Cool Keeper program, where we can come out and install additional monitoring and equipment onto your air conditioner, for example, excuse me, and you get a credit back on your account, but it helps to modify and helps you get additional information to determine how best to utilize your cooling and modify your usage. There's also incentives for electric vehicles, for customer generation, even for appliances. So if you're looking for a new washer and a dryer, there are incentives available through the WattSmart program. If you click on that link for appliances, and depending on the type of appliance that you're doing, that might either be at the wholesale level through the distributor, or it might be something that you do individually as a homeowner.
I didn't know about those warranties. Or the rebates. I just purchased a new dryer. So that would have been an interesting piece to know. So I appreciate it. And I know that some people's homes have like smart air conditioning hubs. And sometimes I feel like they're a game. They give you insights into kind of what you're doing each month and how you can best utilize it. So this resource seems like it's really great for someone trying to reduce their bill. And Michael, we're really fortunate to live in a part of the US with such a strong economy, and we're seeing a really significant population growth here in Utah, which I'm assuming impacts our demand for the electricity grid. How has electricity demand changed in your service area, and what are you seeing for the future of electricity demands?
That's an excellent question. As we all know, there's been a significant amount of growth. I changed back to the other page because we have on the PacifiCorp website, there's actually a sustainability report that addresses this question very specifically. And one of the items that I touched on earlier when we were back looking at the energy portfolio is this grid modernization plan. And a significant portion of that is modifying the way that we provide power to customers, and where we're helping to both our industrial, our commercial, and our residential customers to reduce their demand. It sounds kind of funny for a provider of a service to say, we would like you to use less of that, but that's true in the case of our business. It costs billions of dollars to build new generation facilities, and sometimes there's a very significant environmental impact, particularly if you had to go out and build a new, fossil fuel generation site, which is not in our plans. We don't have any plans to do that in the future. All of the new resources that we're building are all renewable and clean and sustainable. So we like to not only not have to build more generation, we'd like to just see that level off, but continue to reduce the amount of our generation that comes from fossil fuel and other sources that have an impact on sustainability. And that's very much a part of our grid modernization effort. Even though we continue to see significant growth in the Intermountain West and Utah, Idaho, and Wyoming, we really don't see a significant increase in load of generation because of the programs that we're implementing through the energy imbalance market, which we participate in. This website provides a lot of information on that. It's a little bit complex in some areas, and so we won't cover it today during the meeting. But there's also these incentive programs like the WattSmart program, and Intermountain is a fantastic provider. Intermountain Healthcare, they're a fantastic provider and partner in our WattSmart program. They were actually our WattSmart Partner of the Year a few years back because of the significant efforts that they had made to reducing their usage at their facilities, which saves customers money. It saves the company money, and they're able to pass that cost reduction on to their consumers. And so everybody wins in this scenario. So even though there will be substantial amount of growth, we're hoping, and it looks like if we manage it effectively, that we won't need to continue to build a lot of new generation facilities to offset that growth, that we'll be able to continue to see efficiencies in reducing that demand, and then also replacing the current generation assets that we have, plants that we have, with sustainable solutions moving forward.
So it sounds like Rocky Mountain Power is prepared for this, and it's something that you guys assess and look at quite frequently to figure out if anything else needs to be added. So I greatly appreciate that information and this website. If anyone has or the need or want to look for more information, they can definitely go here. Glenn, my next question for you is around Intermountain's electricity use for our future. What does it look like, and how do decisions we're making for our electric infrastructure actually affect our future?
Yeah, excellent. First, I want to throw some shade towards Mike and tell you that I actually joined the Green Power. I'm really wanting to do my part to help Rocky Mountain transition to renewables as much as possible. And as well, you'll be happy to know I just bought a new washer and dryer that are both Energy Star rated. So I'm trying to do my part personally. What is Intermountain? Back to Amanda's question. What are we as an organization trying to do? And it's really three words. It's clean and efficient. We're looking to have the cleanest energy, and we're hoping, we're planning, and we're striving to have the most efficient equipment and culture we can when around energy conservation. Intermountain is, and even beyond that, Intermountain is making commitments. Intermountain is a part of an organization called the Health Anchor Network. And a part of that network, they're asking for sustainability commitments. Intermountain is looking to make a commitment around new renewables, and that's transitioning a certain percent of our electricity to renewables. Right now, we're striving for 25% of our electricity to be covered by renewables by 2025. Personally, I think we could actually achieve 50% by 2025. I don't think my boss would be entirely happy that I want to commit to that, but I see a lot of people in the organization that really want to see this. They know it's the right thing to do. They want to have a clean energy source, and having that commitment, having that support. I wouldn't be surprised if we hit 50% by 2025. But first off, let's hit 25%.
Those are lofty goals. I like it. Glenn or Michael, are there any final parting words you guys would like to say before we end our conversation today? Michael, I'll start with you.
I would just like to say that every 2 years, Rocky Mountain Power, files an integrated resource plan where that balance of how much of our assets are coming from renewable sources versus traditional fuel sources. And this upcoming Friday, April 23rd, and if you go to the Pacific Corp website on that very first link, the energy link that I showed earlier, you'll see that there's information about the public input meeting. And it's a conference call that's coming up this Friday, Mountain Time from 10 o'clock until 12:30. It's open to the public. The public's welcome to provide their feedback. And then every 2 years, we publish that report, and it shows how that generation portfolio continues to change and become more sustainable and cleaner, and more renewable energy is included in that portfolio. Every 2 years, you see that update in that report. So I'd welcome the public and everybody watching this today to call into that, to listen, and to provide your feedback if you're interested. And again, I really appreciate you inviting us to participate. It's been a pleasure on my part, and I look forward to working with Intermountain moving forward in the future.
That's a great resource. I know that there's a lot of community meetings that happen. There's one happening around the transportation for Little Cottonwood Canyon soon. So stuff like that is really important for the community to get involved with. So I appreciate that. Glenn, is there anything else you'd like to mention to us today?
Yeah, I think it's important to be transparent and just acknowledge that, sometimes when it comes to sustainability, there's trade-offs that have to happen. And one of the trade-offs I'll give an example of is we've recently implemented 40 new electric vehicle charging stations. And we're hoping in the next year, possibly two, to double that, if not triple that count. This is fantastic because transportation is a significant air pollutant. This is going to up our energy consumption. So it's a bit of a trade-off. That's why we need partners like Rocky Mountain Power and other utilities to really transition as much as possible, which they are, to renewables, because that supports another hand of sustainability work we're doing. Intermountain is really committed to this area. We're not perfect, but we're really striving to be a more sustainable and resilient organization.
Thank you for that great information. And I just want to make a plug about those electrical charging stations. One of our hospital administrators from LDS Hospital actually was featured in what we call a daily brief internally, but he actually mentioned that he used to walk up to LDS Hospital every day and park his car further away to reduce his environmental impact. And now we have electrical charging stations there. So now he's able to bring his car up there, which I think is great. So it's nice to see that being utilized by members of our team already. So I appreciate that. Glenn and Michael, this has been such a great conversation. I really appreciate both of you. And we'll post those resource links you both mentioned into the Facebook conversation afterwards. If you guys have any further questions around Intermountain sustainability or Rocky Mountain Power, like I said, I'll post those links for you. Thanks you both for joining us, and we'll talk to you later.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks.